quality title race of all time, but coming out on top again in the Premier League, Manchester City.
Hello guys, how are we getting on? You're very welcome back to another episode of The Verdict. This is Season 3, Episode 2, and you will be happy to know that this episode will not be entirely about Chelsea. We will get into the rest of the Premier League results from the weekend. Bar one, obviously I'm recording this on Sunday. Wolves are playing Man United tomorrow night, so obviously I won't get to talk about that. Ideally, I would record a reaction after the United-Wolves game tomorrow night, but you know, I'm a little bit stuck for time this week, so yeah, we're going to try and get it done as quick as possible today. We're going to start off in the Premier League with Arsenal, and they picked up their second win out of 2 when they beat Burnley by 2-1 at the Emirates. It was goals from Alexander Lacazette and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang that got Arsenal the win. Ashley Barnes did equalise actually for Burnley just at the start of the second half. But it was Arsenal who got the win, and it was a man-of-the-match performance from their new man, Dani Ceballos. A man who was very highly rated at Real Madrid, before he signed for Real Madrid, when he was playing with Real Betis. But never really got the chance. It's very difficult for any midfielder really to get into that Real Madrid midfield when you look at the likes of Casemiro, Toni Kroos, Luka Modric of course as well, and Isco obviously as well. There's lots of options for them in there, so you know, play time was few, minutes were few and far between for Dani Ceballos, but he's moved to Arsenal on loan, and he's out to prove a point clearly. He got both assists on the day to earn Emery 6 points out of a possible 6. Elsewhere, it's 2 defeats from 2 for newly promoted Aston Villa. They lost 2-1 to Bournemouth at Villa Park on Saturday. It was goals from Josh King, a penalty from him, and Harry Wilson getting his first goal from the club inside 12 minutes to give Bournemouth the lead. And it was a late kind of flourish from Aston Villa. Douglas Luiz got the goal to pull one back, but it wasn't enough to earn them anything out of the game. At the Amex Stadium then, it was a 1-1 draw between Brighton and Hove Albion and West Ham United. Javier Hernandez gave West Ham the lead on the hour mark, but it was only 4 or 5 minutes later until Leandro Trossard got his very first goal for Brighton on his Premier League debut. An ideal start for him to earn his side a point, to make it 4 points out of a possible 6 for them. Another team that it's also 4 points out of a possible 6 for is Everton. They picked up a 1-0 win over Watford at Goodison Park. It was Bernard's goal that was the difference between the two sides, and it's been a really horrible start to the season for Watford now. Bottom of the table on goal difference, 0 points out of a possible 6, and obviously thrashed by Brighton on the first day, so it was no surprise to see the confidence low against Everton. But yeah, Bernard's goal was the one that differentiated between the two sides, and as I said, 4 points out of 6 for Everton. At Carrow Road, it was an incredible day really. Teemu Pukki got a hat-trick and is now the Premier League's top scorer to fire Norwich to a 3-1 win over Newcastle United. It was a late John Joe Shelby goal which did make the scoreline a little bit more respectable, but not much. And I did see in sparks of their game against Liverpool last week that there was definitely potential in this team. You know, they're very good going forward, very good on the eye. Pukki obviously got the goal, the one and only goal at Anfield last week against Liverpool, so it was no surprise to see him on the score sheet again. But 3 times, I mean, what a start. 4 goals from his opening 2 Premier League games is not a bad return at all for Teemu Pukki. And yeah, Norwich looking, showing that they have more than what it takes to stay in the Premier League this season. Liverpool joined Arsenal as the only 2 teams to make it 2 wins out of a possible 2 when they beat Southampton at St Mary's by 2-1, and it was a brilliant goal from Sadio Mane that gave Liverpool the lead. Roberto Firmino then made it 2, and then a dreadful mistake from Adrian after he was on such a high after his penalty save from Tammy Abraham in the Super Cup during the week. It was his mistake that led to the Danny Ings goal, which did make it a little bit more nervy for Liverpool towards the end. But luckily for them, it is a maximum of 6 points out of 6, and Arsenal and Liverpool are the only 2 teams with a maximum of 6 points out of 6. It'll be interesting to see now. Obviously, something has to give next week. Liverpool playing Arsenal, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to that game. It should be an entertaining game with 2 very good teams going forward. What a game at the Etihad Stadium, and it's rarely dull, isn't it? But whenever City and Tottenham play, looking at their Champions League quarter-final last season, and it was not dull once again here in this game. Raheem Sterling gave City the lead in the 20th minute. It only took 3 minutes for Tottenham to respond, and up until this point City had been really pinning Tottenham back into their own half, and it seemed unimaginable that Tottenham were going to even get a chance, let alone score. But it was Eric Lamela who equalised for them in the 23rd minute, and City were back in front then before half time through Sergio Aguero. And then Lucas Moura right there again off the bench to get the goal, and what a header it was. A header, yes, from Lucas Moura. It's not something you really associate with him, is it? But it was a fantastic header to give Tottenham the equaliser, and that's how it stayed. But I mean, it wasn't short of its drama in this game, and once again VAR was at the fore for Manchester City. We've seen it in the Champions League game, the thriller last season at the Etihad Stadium, and it cost them a place in the next round then, and it cost them the winner here too. Gabriel Jesus thought he had won it right at the end, but VAR said there was a handball from the corner from Aymeric Laporte, and Man City were absolutely fuming, and to be honest you would be. It leads us on to a lot of talk about VAR. Is it the right move forward? There's been a couple of instances now where it's been a little bit shaky and decisions have been questionable, and this one is probably the most questionable of them all. When I seen this yesterday, my initial reaction was that that is a ridiculous decision. Literally, Laporte's hand is there. It's not real, it's not in an unnatural position, is what I'm trying to say. And the new rule is now that if it changes the direction of the ball, that constitutes as a handball. It's bizarre though, because if I'd say Tottenham were utterly baffled that this decision was given for them. As I was just saying today, in years gone by, if that happens, there's not even going to be any debate of a handball. No one even notices it in years gone by. I'd say Tottenham were just really surprised that that decision was given. But yeah, it changed the match incredibly. No shortage of drama, but it's certainly providing us with a shortage of goals. But yeah, very much a case of deja vu for Manchester City and VAR against Tottenham as well. But Tottenham did so well to get a point out of this game. They were poor, they didn't play well at all. And for large parts of the game, Man City were making Tottenham look like a bang average, mid-table side, and it's far from what they are. Obviously, they're a fantastic team who are, definitely considering themselves to be pushing for the title this coming season. So it was bizarre to see City just play around them as easily and as carefree as they did. But I think it's an excellent point for Tottenham. It is a brilliant point for Tottenham, and not many teams are going to go to the Etihad this season and get a point. So fair play to them. It was a poor performance, but they got lucky. But look, they'll take it. They'll take it. That's what football's all about. Sometimes you get your luck, sometimes you don't. And City were very unlucky in this game, but they had a lot of chances to win it, but didn't take them, and as a result they can only take 4 points out of their first 2 games. Moving on to Sunday's games then, and it started off at Bramall Lane between Sheffield United and Crystal Palace, and Sheffield United won this game by a 1-0. John Lundstrom was the goal scorer in the second half, but it was an overly just dominant performance from Sheffield United. I was so impressed with them, and at the start of the season I have them down for relegation, but in these first 2 games they've shown me that they're really up for it and well able, and it's great to see because they have a lot of Irish players. Of course, if you look at the likes of Enda Stevens, Callum Robinson, David McGoldrick, there's a lot of Irish internationals in that team, so it's good to see them doing well. But Crystal Palace were shocking today. They were really bad. Never overly threatened Henderson's goal for Sheffield United, and Sheffield United, if they didn't get the win out of this game, would have been really scratching their heads at the end of it. They were so dominant. They could have had more. David McGoldrick missed a really good opportunity, but overall a brilliant first result at home for Chris Wilder and Sheffield United. And that brings us on to the final game of this video. Chelsea won, Leicester City won. Chelsea's first point of the season. But it could have been more. Should have been more. Or we could have lost. It was that kind of game, really. But yeah, Frank Lampard's first game in charge at Stamford Bridge. Obviously a lovely moment for him to come out, you know, back at the club after these couple of years. You know, was very much welcomed back by the Chelsea fans, and you know, obviously you'd expect that anyway. But in his starting 11, he made a couple of changes to the team from the other day, and of course from last week against Man United as well. Olivier Giroud was starting, haven't started during the week, so that was good to see. Also starting Mason Mount was back. He didn't start against Liverpool during the week. Christian Pulisic also made his first start for Chelsea on the wing. So, you know, it was a promising looking starting 11, and what a promising start. We came out of the blocks 100 mile an hour. We really did. It was so good to watch in the opening 10-15 minutes, and it was in the 7th minute that we got rewarded for our high pressing and aggression and just desire to win the ball back off Leicester, and they were rattled. It was Mason Mount who got the goal after a mistake from Wilfred Ndidi. But even before this, Chelsea had chances. Chelsea had a good few chances. Pedro was unlucky. You know, we were looking very, very good in these opening stages. There was another chance where Jorginho knocks it into Giroud. Mount comes in, and the chance goes a-begging in the end. And also another one where Mount had a shot on it. Schmeichel gets down to it. Pulisic couldn't put it in on the follow-up. But we were looking really, really promising. And also, apologies if you hear the rain. It's Irish weather. It happens. But yeah, as time wore on and as the second half progressed, or as the first half progressed, Leicester got back into it. Chelsea were sitting off, and I was surprised as to why we were doing that. Were we tired after during the week? But it was such a fast start, and I was like, we need to score maybe 2 in this opening sector, because we were having such great chances, like we really were. But we stopped, and we let Leicester back into the game. And you know, a very near mistake from Kepa nearly let Jamie Vardy in. But at half time, I kind of said, right, we need to come out with the same kind of intensity as we did at the start of the first half, and at the start of the second half now. But we didn't. It was the same kind of lackadaisical. We were, you know, the initiative was with Leicester really, and it just did feel like it was going to, you know, be a matter of time before they did equalise, and they did. Then eventually through Wilfred Ndidi, it was a good header from the corner. He redeemed himself, but I've had my say on zonal marking in the past. It was back in a draw or defeat to Everton earlier on in the season. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to leave a clip of what I think of zonal marking in here now. We concede pretty early on from a corner, but let's just have a chat about zonal marking, right? Zonal marking. That's a really good idea, isn't it? Really good idea to do zonal marking. On a level though, right? Right, okay, listen to this. When has zonal marking ever worked for anyone? In the history of football? Like, tell me now, if you can remember one clear occasion when zonal marking has actually worked, put it down in the comments, please. So yeah, we zonal marked. Azpilicueta gets jumped by Ndidi, and it just seems like simple logic, really. If you're man marking the fella, you're both going to have the same amount of jump on the ball. You're going to have the same amount of distance to run to the ball. When you're standing still, it's just so much more difficult when you have a fella coming in, and indeed he came in at a lot of speed to head that ball. It's just so difficult as a defender, and I just don't understand why we choose to zonal mark. But positives from today was the performance in the first 10-15 minutes. Apart from that, there wasn't too many. Defensively, we looked a bit more solid today, but Leicester, in truth, could have had the game wrapped up themselves in the second half. James Maddison missed one chance in particular. That was a great opportunity. Jamie Vardy had another left-footed shot, just, you know, shot wide of the post. And yeah, a point apiece. But next we have Norwich away, so that's a difficult one after you know, the start they've made and their performance against Newcastle. But yeah, we have our first point. It could have been more, could have been less. It was one of them, boys. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you later.
Cause they jump, man, just to get that jump, man. Damn, I'm on red alert. Else you went up in the